to basically take your beginner drum fills and move into more intermediate drum fills. Also, if you dig this video, please like, subscribe, and check out my book, Tactical Drumming Groove Survival Guide. I'll put a link for it in the description, along with a link to my website where you can get a bunch of different drumming resources. All right, so let's jump into this. And basically what I want to talk about is that shift from beginner fills or whatever you might be playing as a beginner into these more complex intermediate type fills. And really the big difference is, yes, there's some difference in speed. I'll give you an example. One of the most common fills we see all the time on the internet is the RL kick, right? And I would say that all my beginner students, they can play this fill, right? In fact, they usually play it fairly well, but the difference is the speed that it comes into play, right? And so they will experiment with that thing, but not really playing it at that quicker speed. And so in order to do that, there's a couple transitions, little fundamental things I want to talk about. So I'm going to talk about two fundamental things. One are single strokes, and the other thing is actually the double stroke. And that's going to change our fills quite a bit. So before we get into that RL kick, I want to actually show you how to simply change a basic 16th note or 8th note fill and make it a lot more intricate sounding, a little bit more advanced sounding. And so if I take something as simple as this, right? Let's take a basic pattern, right? Any beginner can play that, right? Now, if I take, and in between those tom hits, I play double strokes, I've now made this fill a more intermediate fill. And so what I'm doing is I'm just playing double strokes in between the accents. Now, I'm not going to do this all the time because I want certain things to speak out front, but you'll notice a level of complexity in the fill. It just jumped up a whole bunch, right? From this to... So there's two things I added in there. The first part is I brought the accents out, but I also played double strokes. Also, when I was just hanging out on the snare drum, I threw a couple extra accents in there to mix it up. So in order to really move from that beginner to intermediate stage, you have to gain more control with your double strokes. And what I like to do is I actually use my fingers here to make sure that the double strokes, I'm playing one stroke down, and then I'm supporting or pushing back up with my fingers so that I get nice, strong double strokes. And so no matter what fill pattern I'm using, so let's take another simple pattern, maybe something like this. Right? Again, a basic beginner type drum fill, a couple reps with a student, they're going to be able to play this. Now put double strokes on the snare between those. The fill just took on a new life. So that's one way that you can enhance those things. And now a lot of people are talking about 6-stroke rolls, but 6-stroke rolls are very simply this exact thing, right? I could teach a beginner to play a 6-stroke pattern without the roll, which is just this. So it's right, left, right, left, right. Put those two on the toms. Right, left, right, left, right. Now add double strokes in the middle and I can play a 6. And then you can play way more complex stuff, right? Between the cymbals. And with that, all I'm doing is just playing accents and adding double strokes in the middle. Right? Now, the other thing I want to talk about, jumping up to that intermediate from beginning to intermediate with fills, is using the RL kick pattern, right? Now, what's the transition here is actually comes down to speed. And to bring this fill, this simple fill, into the intermediate stage, you have to own two things. Number one is you have to be able to play single strokes. I love the single stroke 4. It's one of my favorite rudiments in the world. I should get a t-shirt that says that. But anyways, so all I'm doing is playing right, left, right, left. So I'm going to build up that speed. Faster. Faster. Right? So if I hear it, get it to a really quick speed where I have total control of it. Now, understanding this, it's actually the same principle as before. If I break it down and I just isolate one hand, they're just double strokes. Then I'm going to add that kick. Now on the kick drum, in order to get faster, to go from that beginner stage of kick, kick, I need to use the proper technique, the heel up technique. And what I'm doing on this is I'm using what's called a flap, right? Where I'm going to actually, it's a tap dancing technique, where I'm going back and forth on the pedal. So I go down, up, down, up. What that does is allows me to now play a double stroke in my bass drum. I'll make sure I put a video link for that. I go into a whole detailed description where I close in on the bass drum. I'll put an extra video in the description for that. But basically, at that speed, if I add now my quicker single strokes, I can now play this fill at a much higher tempo. Right? So I'm able to play it quicker. And now I can do this with anything, RLK. Do it with, other variations and combinations. I could add the two together using my double, right, 6-stroke roll with the bass drum. But basically the thing where I'm going with this is single strokes and double strokes. If you can improve those two things, you'll be able to move your basic fills, your beginner fills, into that intermediate stage. Right? And you're going to start, and if you'll notice, my patterns are the same exact patterns I would teach a beginner, right? Basic fill, super simple, can play on a rock groove. Now add the doubles. Right? And now you've basically morphed your fills into this beginner to intermediate stage. I'm going to play it one more time for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play some fills beginner level, and then I'm going to play them at a little bit more intermediate level. Here we go.